But after the debate, this young man explained why he turned down the fist bump from Jack Ciattarelli.
But I just wanted to remain as nonpartisan as possible. I didn't want to state my political beliefs on live television.
Fair enough.
He didn't want to look like he was taking sides. There's more.
Especially in this political climate, really no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you are going to get a lot of hate for whatever belief you have. Even if it was Mikey Sherrill giving me a fist bump, I wouldn't do it. If it was Jack, I wouldn't do it.
Now, all of this played out after this kid posed a sobering question to Ciattarelli.
I'm only 12, but I've already seen one of our U.S. senators go to prison. What's your vision for restoring public trust in government?
Wow. Talk about a major reality check. Even this 12-year-old can understand how toxic our political climate has become. What are your thoughts on this whole
President Trump has started.
Oh my gosh, guys. Can Connecting America hire that young man right now? That budding journalist, because he knew that even fist bumping Jack Ciattarelli would seem as though he was being friendly to him. And he didn't want to do that. I mean, that having those level of boundaries already is really remarkable. And the question was phenomenal, too. And Mark Bonamo joins us in the diner now to talk about New Jersey politics. Mark, your thoughts on all of that?
Well, what that young man's reflecting on quite effectively is the idea that the country's really on edge going to this election. The country's very divided. He's talking about, hey, it might be in my best interest to try to prove to be neutral, but both candidates in this closely watched election are hoping no neutrality. Now's the time to pick a side.
Let's talk about the bigger issue in terms of this race specifically, potentially being a bellwether for the rest of the country when it comes to Democrats' chances in the midterms.
Right. Every 4 years, all eyes are on the New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial races, essentially because it's immediately after a presidential election and right before the midterms. Everyone wants to see which party is going to have the edge going to the midterms, and the midterms are going to be particularly critical at this juncture. So the Democrats really need a momentum surge. They really need a win coming into this election.
Is momentum shifting politically here in New Jersey towards the right? And what are the issues in this race, or is it simply about President Trump?
This election is interesting for the fact that Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic candidate up to this point, has had about maybe a 6 to 8% lead in the polls. But at the same time, you saw in the 2024 election that Donald Trump only lost this state, considered for a long time to be a Democratic state, by only about 6%. Democrats still have an overwhelming registration advantage of about 860,000 votes, but at the same time, there are over 2 million unaffiliated votes out there that both sides are trying to get.
Mark, I thought what was interesting about what that young man asked, he wasn't really talking about the toxicity of our politics, though we could talk about that all day long. He was talking about corruption. He was talking about how a politician in New Jersey has gone to prison. And there seems to be a lot of corruption stories on both sides right now. Does that play into this race at all?
It's interesting about corruption in New Jersey. We certainly have a very colorful reputation in this state. Recently, you saw Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez go to jail. One of the more interesting details about it is the man had gold bars in his house and cash inside his jacket, like he's almost ready to go on the lam at any time. But what's interesting about New Jersey is what really matters to people. Yes, corruption's a factor in this state, but there are certain pocketbook issues that people really care about.
Such as, what are those?
Taxes. Taxes particularly. We have some of the highest property taxes in the nation. And also, the electric bills have gone up very significantly, 17 to 20%. They've gone up in recent weeks. The Democrats are saying, okay, this is a market flaw. We blame the grid for all of this. But at the same time, Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate, is essentially, it's all the Democrats' fault. It's all Governor Phil Murphy's fault. It's his policies that have led to this pinch for directors. There's Jack Ciattarelli now, walking in a diner. Where are we now? A critical place where people want to see what New Jersey voters think. So again, there's Mikey Sherrill. Look, Phil Murphy. There he is, all his fault.
Yeah, that's from his ad. Allison?
Oh, just that. So I hear what you're saying, Mark. Basically, that corruption is not, while it seems rife right now through politics, people are more concerned about what's happening in their own kitchen table and with their own economics. It's always true. I mean, that is a fact. So right now, today, you're saying, just so I understand, Mark, that it's leaning towards the Democrat Mikey Sherrill, but anything can happen in the next few weeks.
No, absolutely. And again, polls always vary. There was recently a Republican designed poll saying, well, this is a statistical tie. We'll have to see. Plus, historically in New Jersey, things always seem to flip.
Yeah.
A governor from the same party hasn't won for 3 terms in a row. Phil Murphy is term limited since 1961, since the early 1960s.
That's the point I
Ah.
wanted to ask you about. Allison's in Connecticut. I live in Connecticut. And the sense has been for years, if our governor runs again, it's over. Is Murphy popular here in New Jersey? Have his policies been popular and effective?
Phil Murphy's policies, it's controversial one way or the other. A lot of people think he could have done a lot better. He did well on legalizing recreational marijuana, but a lot of other policies seem to have failed, including wind projects in New Jersey trying to convert New Jersey to green energy were essentially abandoned. They failed.
What about transit? New Jersey
Oh my
Transit.
God.
That's always a hot button
Right.
issue.
NJ Transit. I happen to live across the street from Newark Broad Street Station. I can hear people literally cry out in despair and anger when trains are canceled. No one tells you why, postponed, who knows? So Phil Murphy essentially said when he got into office, I will make the trains run on time or I will die trying. Phil Murphy is still alive at this point. So we have to see what's going to happen next.
The
Whoever
most,
solves that is going to do well in the state.
no matter who you support in this race, the most disappointing part, heartbreaking to me, was Jackie Sherrill. We saw her military service being
Mikey
highlighted.
Sherrill, right.
Was almost booed off a stage when she was talking about her military service. Now, I hate to point sides. These were largely MAGA supporters. I've never seen anything like that from the Republican Party. Did that astound the political, all of us?
One of the major things that Mikey Sherrill's campaigning on is, look, I was a Navy helicopter pilot. You see a commercial where she's flying over the state. I'm in command. I can do this. But this is a particularly nasty time in our politics.
Boy, you're right.
Everyone's going to get booed for everything, and Jersey is particularly a rough climate to run for office at any time.
I will point out, polls have been very unreliable when it comes to Donald Trump, time after time after time. One thing has been right, though, Mark. Going back to 2016, the futures betting markets have nailed it every time. They nailed 2016. They nailed 2020 that he would lose. And right now,
You have something in your hand there?
This is called Kalshi. Kalshi,
Right.
Kalshi strictly takes the pulse of Americans.
Yep.
Right.
That's not a poll. The betting markets have an 85% chance of the Democrat Jackie Sherrill winning.
Yeah.
85-15. They have nailed just about every election we've seen going back to 2016. If Kalshi's right, this is not a race.
Rolling the dice on New Jersey politics is always a mistake. You could roll snake eyes at any time. Last election, Jack Ciattarelli was also the Republican nominee. Everyone thought Phil Murphy is going to win running away. Murphy only won by 3%.
Yes, it was close. Yeah.
Right. I predicted this time it should also be significantly closer than people think.
Good stuff, brother.
All right,
Great
Mark
to have you,
Bonamo,
Mark.
thanks
you.
for being here. Let's get you
Pleasure.
some breakfast.